Okay, why don't we call the meeting to order at 4:03 p.m. This is the Policy Review Committee meeting at, on what's today's date?
11/20.
That's right, November 20th, 2024. I'm Bill O'Brien, Chairman, and we do have a quorum. We need a motion to accept the minutes of September 18th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Second. All in favor.
Any discussion? It passes unanimously. And continued discussion. We'll start with group reports. Do the 1000 series.
Ready? Take it.
Wow, they promoted. It's large.
It's a very large
large.
one, but we did complete it. I think all of you. Yes, we do, right here. By the way. And, I was given to Mrs.
They're in your
Lacuna's
agenda?
full.
The front page is the agenda? So
Yep.
you have the agenda page?
You know what, no.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, though.
and I have to give full credit to Mrs. Lacuna's and the team for making all of this corrections, but we could get started on the first. We have to go a couple of pages in, and we start with parent involvement, policy number 1110.1. So these were the ones that were changed. They are highlighted of what the changes were. So for example, we moved from guardians to and/or legal custodians. And then we obviously followed that all the way through to kind of grammatically correct the terminology. I'll give you guys a moment to kind of read through it. I don't want to rush anyone. Any questions, just stop us and ask us. We're all here. The next one was 110.2. This is a continuation of parent involvement, community relations, media. And again, trying to be consistent with the language with legal custodian versus just guardians. And then we moved down to the highlighted forms with, we included school forums and student updates. We didn't have that in the purpose. So the district has open parent portal to enhance communication between the district, parent, and guardians. User parent portal will have access to the following information about their children, which is attendance, student schedule, grades, and assignments. We've updated that to include student forms because they have athletic forms are on there, and student updates. So we updated that to include the new things that parents can do. We'll keep
Continuation.
Quick question?
Continuation, yes.
Just parent and legal custodian. Is there anything that any of our students who wouldn't fall under that?
Yes, so for unaccompanied youth.
That's why we went with legal custodian versus the guardians, because it
Yeah.
seemed better.
Even an
terminology.
unaccompanied youth, though, doesn't technically have a legal guardian.
Okay.
So we just went with that terminology. And then we tried to keep it consistent throughout. The next page that we're looking at, policy number, is 1112.5, which again is community relations and media. And we took out a whole paragraph. If you guys want to go down to it, it's obviously stricken. And I think our rationale was that it wasn't really very necessary to have this. So I'll read you what was in there and then why we wanted to take it out. Information obtained by media represented directly from students, because we don't, at this point, students should not be directly communicated to media. There should be another avenue of communication. So we should not be having news reporters just coming up to students randomly. Of course, if we're doing an activity that involves students, we get permission, we do the right channels, so to speak. So parents who do not want their children involved, we already have that established, so we thought we would take out that does not require parental approval. We feel like they do need to be communicated.
And that one we sent to the attorney and he agreed that that should be removed.
So moving on from that paragraph. 1112.5 stays the same, and then we went to the videotaping, which is 112.6. We just kept lawful custodian, and instead of disabled exceptional, we found that not an appropriate term. We said students has an exceptionality versus that. We thought that would be more, we like that terminology. Yeah, so we changed that out. Then 112.6, which is the appendix. Again, you saw the change from legal guardian, because that's a very old terminology, to legal custodian, and then we just kind of went that all the way down. And then 1120, we'll start with the first one, which is number 2, any person, we said no. Any Stratford resident who wishes to address the board, so we identified And then we put form available in the board meeting room or online, because I understand there's a virtual option, so we wanted to be appropriate with that. Number 3, we got rid of citizen and put speaker. And then at the chairperson's discretion, which is, with the board. Any questions? Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Is her, do we want to not do binary there?
Then we would have to change it, I don't
No,
know. Yeah.
I'm just,
I understand.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about that. I mean, certainly
that?
that's.
Say that
Okay,
again.
where's that?
his, her name, it's becoming more acceptable to use there
They,
rather
there.
than they or there rather than a binary identification.
Can we eliminate his and her and just put, I don't think I see a lot of his and
Indicate
her.
their name.
Their name? Yeah.
Right?
Just the number 2.
Yeah.
Teresa, are you?
Number,
Checking
it's
that?
number 2.
Two.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
good point, and I think Teresa can, because I think that doesn't, because it's not a lot of his, her, to be honest with you. I don't think we caught a lot of that, because we might have,
No, we did look at some of it.
we did look at some of it, so,
Okay.
but I know we did a couple of theirs and they.
We did change, we
We
did
did
make some
change,
changes.
we did
Probably
change,
just-
so
that was
we
an
probably
option.
missed that one, so Teresa,
Okay.
you're gonna take care of that, so, good catch,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you guys a chance to finish reading that, if there's any other corrections. We
So
can-
what's being replaced with his or her, I'm sorry?
There.
There,
Just
there,
there, oh,
their
okay,
name.
all right.
it flows perfectly.
Okay, all right.
1120, the next one stays the same, so then we went to 11501160, which is again, communication with the public. And we wanted to take out that whole sentence of complete understanding and then just end it there instead of the point about which they have been asked. It just didn't seem, it wordy and redundant. And I think we should get rid of he and she again on that section, Teresa, if we're gonna keep it aligned and put they should refer the inquirer to the board instead of staff member, because we figured it was a board. And if anybody catches anything, just stop us.
No, Heather, one quick question on this.
Yes.
Will this work with or support, hopefully, the new communication policies you're working on with the committee?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, 1170, the first thing we took out was citizen. We put residents. And then we added Stratford residents, again, I guess, not citizen. And then Board of Education committed to recognizing and honoring residents versus citizen. And that was the only correction we made there. 1180, we took out just scholarships, we put scholarships or planting, because we've also come that some of the schools do plant something in recognition of any students evaluated. That's for memorials for deceased students and our staff members. So that sometimes it's not just a scholarship, sometimes it's plaque planting, so we wanted to open that up a little bit. And then on the bottom, which is the administrative regulation, which I will read it, we thought that that was not necessary, so we wanted to take it out. Sometimes too much is not good. So memorial plaques or dedication plaques placed in particular rooms or areas within a district school shall not be removed within 20 years of placement, except in the case of building demolition or decommission. We thought that wasn't really necessary.
So no longer have an option to use a plaque or anything like that? So
I mean, I think scholarship planting, I mean, if you guys want to include plaque, I don't know.
No, I'm just wondering, and I don't know if I feel much strongly one way or another, but we're saying right now it's limited to a perpetual award, a scholarship, or a planting.
Do you guys want to put plaque?
It could say or the like.
Well, these are more memorials as opposed to recognitions.
No,
So,
understood. All I'm doing is opening the conversation. Like, some schools have the ability to plant things,
Mhm.
that we don't, really. We
Yeah.
don't have much area to plant.
So you could do the plaque, so you want that
Well,
option?
we can't, well,
Well,
I mean, sometimes people do gardens, like, and they,
Yes.
So we
rocks
have
in the
one.
garden, things like
we
that,
have
so there's
one.
a,
If you want plaque, I don't think anybody is opposed to plaque.
I just don't want to box us into
So how
a
about
situation where we say
scholarships,
we can only do a
planting,
perpetual award or a
memorial
scholarship.
or memorial plaques? Teresa, did you get that? Okay.
I do think we have to be careful where it's hung up, like,
And in general, you need to be mindful and careful with plaques. Sad, but we lose a lot of people.
Yeah.
and space
Is
is hard.
limited.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing with trees,
Well, and that's
right?
why they said
Plant
the
a
20
tree.
years. I mean, you know, I'm hoping Stratford's gonna be around long after I
Certainly.
leave
I think
myself.
Stratford will be here for 20 more years.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
We can
maybe
add
guys-
that in there.
We could put that in there
So
at the discretion.
part of it too, I think, was to the point where, so we, I mean, if we have hundreds of plaques, if we put one plaque up, then do we gotta put a plaque for everybody? You know,
Yeah.
That's why-
That's the
plantings,
hard part.
plantings might be, you know, the,
And I think that's why they went to the 20-year removal,
Yeah.
because it gets,
You establish a precedent.
even if we remove plantings, I mean, I know they do, but if we just got rid of even the word planting and did perpetual awards or scholarships.
I like that,
Yeah.
perpetual award.
I have concern
Yeah, with
about
the- with this little-
individuals who take their life,
Yes.
you know, best practices with suicidality. Those individuals, you don't want to create a big memorial because it infers, look at all the recognition,
Yep.
look at all the attention, look at, we're kind of, you know,
Just an interesting piece.
celebrating as opposed to memorializing life. So I think somebody has to have the decision-making judgment for a plaque. or
So do you
a
want to add in a sentence, at the discretion of the building principal or at the discretion of that, I mean, what do you want to?
I think that gets,
That's
leaves you, well, they
also-
did it over there, how come you can't do it over here?
Yeah,
recognition.
yeah, I think it has to be central office.
Okay,
Well, I think not everybody that passes
gets it.
gets a memorial of any kind. You know what I mean? Like, there's select people because somebody promotes it or starts it up and gets a collection and then you have it. If somebody doesn't do that, then you don't
But we have a
typically
pretty healthy
have
scholarship
them.
fund for one of our teachers that passed away.
So, but if you go down to the next paragraph, where it says temporary school-wide memorials for deceased students or staff may include plaques or other displays that are returned to the family at the end of the
Yeah.
school
It's
year.
temporary.
Memorial symbols displayed by the campus shall be limited to the school year within which the death has occurred.
I think temporary is good.
I like that word, and that's why we
I'm
kept
fine with
that in. So do you want to going back, because I just want to have finalizing, are we leaving just scholarships or planting, or I liked your, what did you say? I'm sorry.
Perpetual awards.
I like the memorial, what did you say?
He said perpetual awards or scholarships, and just leave it at that.
I think that that's
And
perfect.
eliminate the plantings.
Yep,
And I think the best memorials of all are scholarships, in
Yeah.
memory of people.
So you have the permanent piece, which would include perpetual awards or scholarships.
And a
And
temporary.
and
Temporary.
temporary would kind of lay it out there.
okay. Everybody's good with that?
I think though, somebody has to have the
Okay, it.
ultimate judgment or oversight, because I think it puts the building in, the heads of the building in a tough position.
Who is in charge of it
Well,
now, would be
I
my
think it's the
question.
building.
It's a building.
It's a building principal. It's a building
So it's
principal.
decentralized.
I mean, it's certainly a responsibility that would fall under us, I would think.
The
As
next-
long as it's spelled out, if it's too subjective, I think it could create some issues, but I think this is pretty clear.
Well, if you go to the bottom paragraph, it says the district reserves the right to establish design parameters so that the memorial blends with the architectural setting of the facility and/or, do we want to change that to the superintendent or building principal or board of ed?
I think district encompasses all of that, right?
Yeah.
I think you're covering your bases by saying it open-ended.
Yeah,
But-
just leave
but-
it at the district, because.
I think it's fine, Mike.
Okay. So if I was to desire to put a plaque there and I said, I'm going to go to the district to find out who I speak to,
I'd probably you start with your building principal and then the
If you
building
came to
principal.
me, I
Yeah.
would say, let's start by having a
That's
conversation
exactly
with
what I
the
would do.
principal.
okay. So that's,
Yeah.
okay.
We're good?
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
1210, which is community relations, school community associations. We got rid of teachers because it's not just teachers. We added faculty, and then we changed, obviously, between parents and legal custodian versus the guardian. 1312, we took out a lot of stuff. Number 4, under, it says, if the matter cannot be settled satisfactorily by the superintendent, it should be brought to the Board of Education. Questions, comments submitted to the chairperson of the board in the letter form will be brought to the attention of the entire board. Then the board, at its next regular meeting or special meeting, will then be considered the grievance and the complaint. So the number 1, 2, and 3, and then number 6 really kind of just sums it up that it's not necessary to have 4 and 5. And I think you ran that by this, did you run that by?
I'm not sure if I did, but my thoughts on that was that a parent bringing their complaint about the way they're being treated either in the building or by the superintendent is out of the Board of Ed's lane. It is-
Jurisdiction, right.
The final say in that matter is the superintendent. So if, Carla, you did something that a parent didn't like, or one of your teachers did, then they would go to you. If they didn't like what you did, then they would go to Heather, and Heather's voice would be the last comment then the matter would be resolved, and then they have due process and other remedies, but to come to the board is not within our parameters.
So we revised that, and then at number 6, we eliminated, referred to the school administrator, we put to the superintendent. If you were not receiving resolutions, then it obviously would go to the superintendent.
Then you have another he, she at the bottom.
Oh, can we fix
The last
that?
sentence.
So at the end of this, I'm just gonna make a motion to remove all the he's, she's, and replace with their.
Okay, that-
And then I'll also do 1180, remove plantings. So I think those were all the.
Thank you. We're going to skip over that and go to 2112. We did do the they. That was one of our catches. So that they can, that was one of our catches. I think it was he, his, and her, or something like that. And then number 1, we got rid of innovative programs and put equitable programs. And we eliminated a special effort should be made to encourage women and minorities to seek administrative position. We're doing. For everyone. And then number 2, that's it. So that's all we did. And I'll give you guys a chance to read, first of all. There's a lot to read.
Is there any funding
I
for
would-
professional development?
That's year
Oh.
to year, that's budgeted year to year,
It's
so you don't
budgeted.
want to put anything in.
You don't want to touch it?
No, because the board could cut it, and
Okay.
the town could cut it. So I think it's just best left.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna move on unless someone tells me to wait. Okay, changing pages again. We're at 2131. As you can see, we did try to be conscientious of his, so we could put there and they. We got rid of the he, it's crossed off. He, we put they. Oh, boy, I think we missed a he. Teresa, on the first, I just saw it myself. He shall formulate policies and procedures, so they shall.
And also in the first.
Yeah, first paragraph at the
He
end.
may exercise, full, whatever.
Yeah,
Control F.
Uh-huh.
And
There's 2 he's there.
Easy,
oh, that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
you were famous of that.
one time.
One time, famous.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're on substitute teachers. We've got, the superintendent shall stay informed. We got rid of keep himself, that seemed not appropriate. And then study of local schools, we got rid of the supervisor's work and of the work of each teacher. We put of the attendance of the children in the district to include but not limited to the condition of the building from time to time and other facts that will enable the Board of Education to act appropriately.
Right.
We got rid of all that necessary jargon.
Under school dismissal, there's a his, her.
You're right.
Okay,
See that?
which one?
Under school dismissal.
It's the second
Oh,
line,
sorry.
right in front of it, yep.
Yeah, oh, his or her, so they.
Mhm.
I think he's gonna make a motion of getting rid of all those is pay there, so, but thank you for pointing that out.
Well, the more we can point out to Teresa, the less she's getting.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're trying, Teresa. 2231, which is administration regulation systems. So we changed how these policies, and I do see a he and she on this 3rd paragraph, which under regulations, he or she shall develop, so they shall develop the system. That went right to my eye. I don't see anything else that quickly, but I did see that. And that is it.
Now, do you want to take this to the communications committee and review
I
it?
would love to,
Okay,
that would be great.
all right.
We have 2 things that were on hold. There was one
Yes.
that you'll talk about right now.
So, So yeah, 1212 on volunteers, and then again, between, there's no number for it, 1312B and 2120 is advertising sponsorship. Just trying to refine that and speak to the attorneys about that, but also the donation. There's no, if we can couple, I don't know if we need to couple donations into that, but again, it's trying to define how we, I don't know if that's a conversation we're gonna have now, or just to take a look at, maybe you can give us the CABE stuff, we can review it. And,
Is that next on the agenda anyway?
Yeah, donations and gifts next.
Take one, pass it around.
all right, so before we go, I would like to make a motion to approve as amended with the following changes. On 1180, we would remove the word plantings, and then we would change all the he's or she's to theirs, their, or they. So that would be my motion, to send to the communications, to amend it as stated, and to send to the communications committee for further review.
I second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously, thank you.
We all-
Oh, vacation.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll talk about donations and gifts with, Heather, you brought up, I think, at our last board meeting.
Yeah, so, on a really positive note, the district is getting more opportunities to accept donations. In doing that, what I've realized is we don't have a policy for it. And our past practice has always been that if the donation accumulated over $1,000, it would go before the board for approval. But it's actually not written anywhere as a policy, and it's not organized anywhere as a policy. And so Teresa grabbed the CABE, current business / non-instructional operations, gifts, grants policy. And I think you guys should read this and consider whether this is appropriate or we want to revise it. But I do think Stratford needs something. We get gifts from cars for the high school to use for their auto shop, to beds that we can use in our medical pathway, to food donations and clothes donations, and we just need to make sure that we're set up to accept those donations in an appropriate manner. So the key points on this CABE, acceptance and criteria, the process for donations, and acknowledgement and accountability. And I think we want to make sure with anything that we're doing this year, we're transparent, we're aligning. We think about how we want to review each gift, and we think about the district-wide benefit, and appreciation for community resources. So take a second and look through the CABE policy, and this is just a recommender for you guys to look at for first read.
We have no policy on this right now, right?
Nothing. There's nothing else for you to compare it to. So
And other districts must have something along
Yeah.
those lines. And I came from Cape, so
1312B.
the only thing is, one thing is they do have his and her, and it just to be consistent.
I mean, there's a whole bunch in here we may want to shift or change, but we need something to work off of, and this is what they recommend. So.
And we do have the advertising sponsorship, but not just the gifts.
But not donations.
Not donations.
And so, one of the things that's coming before the board this week is a donation. And the question to that is, do we want to set limitations to what types of businesses we should allow to make donations? For instance, liquor stores or distributors, dispensaries, adult entertainment businesses. So do we want to also accept, do we also want to set parameters as to who may not be, whether it's who, I don't know how we would word it, but.
Well, businesses that require age verification for their customers, it's probably a great place to start, based on your list.
That's a good verbiage, yeah.
Based on your list just now.
There's a difference too, though, okay? So, we're a public institution, so we need to think about what the money is being donated for and why. I'm trying to be open-minded.
Well, it says right here, a purpose consistent with the school district. I like that it's written.
Yep, and all gifts shall be accepted for the school district as a whole not for a particular school, but there's a piece somewhere in here that talks about if they're using us for advertising, right? Like a donation with no strings.
Will not imply endorsement of any business or product. I
Right.
like
So
that
if,
wording.
if a company, let's say from one of the groups Mike listed, wants to donate $5,000 to Carla's school for the food pantry for something else, and they're saying there's no strings attached, you're not attached to it,
Yeah.
what's the process, right? Do we take that money and allow it to be used for the kids, or do we say no because it's coming from a company, even though that's not going to be attached to any part of the donation? So it's just food for thought as you're like thinking about how the donations come in. I think it's pretty simple to say we won't tie our name to any company that distributes or does things that, you know, our age limiting doesn't meet, but do we want to turn the donation away? Sometimes companies of different natures are required to give back to communities. If you're going to open a company in a town, you're required to give back to the community. If that company says, what I want to give back to is the school, should we be saying no? I don't know, and that's why it's here in the policy. But first, we need a policy in order to decide whether or not we should be saying yes or no to those kind of donations.
And then do we also maybe, if we have, there are other ways to donate to kids, those businesses that require age verification may be able to donate through kids through other avenues, and perhaps for those, we would keep a list
Yeah,
or something along those lines, you know, these are the needs. You know, again, it's what kind of a, I don't know, what kind of presence, I don't know, and do we have a legal foot to stand on if we restrict certain?
yeah, and I think in general, when you put a policy in place, we have a legal foot to stand on to say no or yes to anybody. But a policy needs to be in place for us to do that.
Yeah. But would it be called, you know, would it be called discrimination if we do that? That's kind of what I want to find out, is can we legally do that, you know?
And I think you could legally say no to a donation.
Yeah.
That's not,
Yeah.
you know, discrimination in any way, shape, or form. I think it's just a matter of, you know, currently our practice is if it's $1,000, I bring it to the board and you guys decide, but you have nothing to work off of. So you're making kind of a blind decision as a board because you don't have a policy that's guiding you. And you're gonna get one of those on Monday. You're gonna get a hefty donation on Monday to review.
So, but in this one thing we hear under advertising sponsorship policies, advertising sponsorship shall not promote
Right.
the use of controlled substance, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, or certain products that create a safety or health concern.
That's the
Promote
advertising
obscene
one, right?
pornography.
Because you're tying it to
Yes,
something
An
that's
endorsement,
showing
right,
endorsement.
but that would also be a sponsorship, but it could be a sponsorship, advertising, but advertising
So
sponsorship.
do
It
you
could,
think we clarify in our 3280 the same way it's written for sponsorship?
possibly, yeah,
I think it needs to be doubled.
yeah,
I think it needs to be repeated, not referred back to.
yes,
If we're
yeah.
gonna do it, it should be repeated.
Because they're two different, one's advertising sponsorship, one's donations. But it is, and again, is it, or, you know, and then there's a lot of other restrictions to it that go beyond that, promoting religious or to be allowed to say. So there are a number of things in here, and again, to Chris's point, maybe we want to just take that language
Yeah,
and do a
maybe
little
what you
bit.
guys want to do is what you've been doing, which seems to be working, create a little task force. Take this one that Kate has, take what we have, and come back next meeting with something. We're not gonna do it overnight, right? Like Kate was wanting to find.
Now, can one of those companies you mentioned donate anonymously? Because as
That's
Heather
what I
said,
was saying.
sometimes they have to give money.
Yeah.
So,
Right, if they're saying no strings attached, no advertisement, here's an anonymous donation, do we take that?
Yeah. Well, and which would be different between advertising and sponsorship,
Completely
because
different, right.
advertising, you advertise your
Right.
business, but sponsorship would be, I just want to give you $3,000 to sponsor the
Right.
football team, here you go.
I want to give you a
Big
donation
difference,
for a
yeah.
scholarship,
Yeah.
you know?
What about the smaller donations, like for instance, a church wanted to donate backpacks filled with school supplies? I mean,
Right, right, and
Do we-
typically, we just take those,
Yeah,
right?
We've
Yeah.
taken them.
I
I've had food- I've
and I
had food
said, thank
donations.
you.
Right, and I think that that needs to be
I've
written
had
into the
food.
policy, you
Okay,
know?
all right.
Donations under X dollars
Right,
can be accepted by the building principal.
right.
But what this also says is we shall not promote any religious or political organization. So if a church says, I want to give you 20 backpacks, they're not promoting.
No,
As
they-
long as
no,
there's
it's
no
just
big
backpacks.
bag
on the back of
Yeah,
that.
we get-
Yeah.
No, it's just backpacks with.
Fill the school
Can't
supplies.
fill it with flyers
And
for
that's
the
it.
church.
Yeah.
No,
Now,
it is-
that's
do
it.
private donors expect a letter for tax reasons?
You cannot, so we're
cannot.
not, you know,
Maybe
we're
that
not
should be the
tax
policy as
deductible,
well.
so that's,
Yeah.
we
Okay.
give you a little letter just acknowledging you donated, but
Yes,
you can't write it off on your taxes.
you cannot, okay.
And so one of the other things too is we've been talking about the CTE, which is the career track education. So, and possibly reaching out into the community for donations to help, you know, whatever.
Right, we just got a beautiful hospital bed donated for the CTE.
Oh, nice.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so- Which is awesome, right? So we want to be able to reach out and say, hey, do you want to do something to help our
Yeah.
pathways?
Yeah.
Oh, but I would like to have this in place before we do that.
But we would, and the intent of that is also, we want to start to actively reach out to the community and make it known that we are maybe developing a program or doing different things, or, you know, because I've heard from a lot of people, they'd love to donate to something within a school, they just don't know how, or nobody's asked, or whatever it is. And I think that's a, you know,
Valid point?
yeah, I mean, people like to donate to various things, why not?
And
Donate
they're,
to our kids in our
correct,
schools.
and there are established, I mean, I was able to just pull one up by Hampton, you know,
Yeah,
so
there's-
they're already
yeah.
out there.
I just don't know
Just
which
take a
one
look
of you
at
guys,
those.
or group of you wants to tackle.
Anybody
We just
especially like to
finished.
be on this subcommittee?
You've already done a lot of work.
Yeah, you could-
How about we take it,
Yeah, I don't think we
Chris?
have anything,
We
after,
could take-
after this one, I don't think we have anything on our
I think
plate.
We
Okay.
don't,
Okay.
we could take it.
Well, we can, I want to jump on to volunteers, so maybe we can do,
Great.
look at the volunteers and, you know. The only thing I would suggest too, then, if you're doing advertising sponsorship, is maybe reach out to the athletic review committee, and they might have some 2 cents on it, maybe not, but, or you guys could do it, and then we could send it to them for,
And that's a little more straightforward, I think, advertising, we're certainly not gonna take an advertisement from
yeah.
Barnum Ave Liquors and put Barnum Ave Liquors on the scoreboard in the Stratford gym.
I mean, this one hasn't been updated since 2007, but it might be worth, it's gonna be worth at least one thing, is giving it a number, because it doesn't have a number. But check it out as well.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Other policies,
I had 2, and I'll certainly talk about them real quick. I will say that I apologize, I printed them, and I highlighted the stuff that was gonna be stricken in red. Unfortunately, when you look at it, there's no red. So I apologize for that. Everyone has it online, you were sent a copy today, so I can talk you through them.
Thank you.
Both have minimal changes in verbiage, but there is some stuff that's being stricken from that, so I could walk you through that. And we'll start with the online course policy, once everyone has it, which is 6172.6. Both these policies were discussed with Dr. Piazza and Dr. Graff in the school counseling departments at both high school, to ensure that we kind of didn't miss anything, because they generally impact high schools more than other schools. So in the third paragraph, where you can see where it says number 1, taught by teachers who are certified, ... strike that from the policy, because we think that the next one, 2, would replace 1, which says offered by institutions of higher education that are accredited by the Department of Higher Education or regionally accredited. A lot of the programs now, such as Apex and I can't remember, the virtual classroom that DCF uses, are not taught by certified teachers.
Ingenuity or something.
Ingenuity, so they are offered. So what you can see highlighted in the bottom would be added unless prior permission is given by the principal of the school. Moving on to the next one is striking from the policy is a maximum of 4 units or 4 credits. This was written a long time ago, and with having access to Apex at this time, and considering that summer school uses Apex, we felt that we could run into a situation where a student may have 4 credits, more than 4 credits that are awarded virtually, and we didn't want that to prevent them from
And
graduating.
didn't the new legislation pass too, Jack, as well, about allowing students, even kids that are not credit deficient?
To use Apex.
Yeah,
So you could use it now to not only just make up for a class you failed, but for advancement as well.
yeah.
So, so that would be stricken from this. Everything would remain the same until you get to the 3rd page. well, that's just not the third page on this.
Bottom.
It starts with the Stratford Board of Education will, in parentheses. That would be entirely stricken from that. As far as we know, that is not in existence anymore. There was a time where parents were reimbursed for classes they had to pay for online if the kids couldn't take it, but
Where is that?
The last paragraph.
it's the last paragraph on the second page. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the amended one. It starts in parentheses, the Stratford Board of Education will annually allocate a specific amount of funds for reimbursement. So that entire first, in parentheses, paragraph, all the way through bullet point 8 would be removed.
Wow.
Nice job.
And then the remainder would stay the same. No changes.
Have you looked through it? That's good.
Yep.
You wanna-
Dr. Piazza's looked through it, so it's got a thumbs up.
Do you want to make a, Jack, do you want to make a recommendation, a motion that
Sure.
send out to the board?
Make a motion to send policy number 6172.6 titled Online Courses to the Board of Education for first read
With a favorable recommendation.
with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I will
you, guys.
pass out the next one if I may.
The work you guys have all done, definitely get promoted next year.
That's great. Can you pass this one around as well?
You promoted to where?
Promoted to, I'll talk to Heather about that.
Where are we going?
Okay, this one is the transfer of credit policy. Not as many changes in this one. Honestly, it deals mainly with the removal of accredited in the first paragraph, which is underlined, and replaced with a secondary schooler program. I spoke about this briefly at one of our previous meetings where this policy, the current policy we have, which was adopted in 2012, talks about we can only accept credits transferred into Stratford schools that's from an accredited school, and a school that's been accredited through NEASC or one of the other accredited things in the United States of America, but unfortunately we get kids from a lot of other places now. And when we get transcripts from Jamaica or any other foreign country, we look through that with the counselors. We do the best we can to kind of interpret the classes that were taken. Sometimes we reach out to the school to make sure that we kind of is matched the best we can what classes they took, what they received credit for, what they received credit for at both Stratford and Bunnell. And then at the end of that first paragraph, it says grade level placement in the Stratford Public Schools will be based upon the credit accumulated in the incoming, by the incoming student. Just saying that, instead of saying we're gonna, if you were an 11th grader, you're gonna be a 12th grader, we have to look at that and make sure that the credits they receive are in line with our credits as far as promotion through high school and on track for graduation. And that one really, that's kind of the main changes in that one.
Good clarification.
What about that big red paragraph, the definition of accredited schools or program?
Yeah, can I see that? Because it's not showing up on my phone right now. You have
Is
it?
that it? Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah, that was just, the whole accredited school thing has been removed. It's at the bottom of
Page 1.
page 1, definition of an accredited school or program. That entire thing will be stricken from the policy because it's just not in practice anymore. That goes all the way down through Schools Western Association of Schools and Colleges at the bottom. And then procedure 2 would be taken out as well because it does reference accredited. Sorry about that. And again, we work together with Bunnell, with our school counselors, and also Dr. Piazza on these policies to make sure that we had a kind of more than a Jack and Stratford had look on it.
And honestly, it sounds a lot like what they do once they hit college level anyway. You know, it's kind of the same formatting for the accreditation that comes in and the credits that you can accept versus not accept based on what the curriculum is for that.
Yeah, we just felt that really we were in an uncomfortable position to look at a transcript from a student from a foreign country and say, well, we're not gonna accept any of these.
Absolutely.
And we
That's
do the best we
unfair.
can
That
to
is
take,
unfair.
we even look at students who transfer from a Catholic school in Connecticut, we try to look at religious courses they take and see where they fit in our program of studies to offer credit for that as well. A lot of times students transfer for reasons that are out of their control, and the worst last thing I do is punish them because they had to change schools or change environments or physical
Countries.
addresses.
Yeah. Yeah, they should be penalized.
They should not, yeah, they should not be penalized. Absolutely not.
Look good, Heather?
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Same thing, you want to send this with the,
Make a motion to send the transfer of credit policy, 6172.61, to the Board of Ed with a favorable recommendation.
I second.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously, thank you.
What else you got for us, Jack?
That's it right now.
You up, Chris?
That's all I got for this month.
So this was ours. This is the field trip policy.
Oh, yeah.
We were actually one time.
It looks like a thick one.
It's only thick because the permission slips, the different types of permission slips are attached. I tried to catch all of the changes in each of those.
You're welcome.
Anybody else want to add that?
That's me.
A lot easier to read. Not really nice. Color coded.
So changes in the field trip policy came up last year when the Benel girls presented to get a waiver. And that kind of instigated if it was okay for them to do it. Our attorneys said we were covered in this type of a situation. We decided to revise the policy. So what we've done is we've made sure we made, you can see the changes we made. We took out, in the event there's a limit to the number of spaces available, a selection of students permitted to attend will be done by lottery system. I don't believe that needs to be in there. And we changed from class or course. When a field trip is costly, parents must be offered a budget payment plan coordinated with school PTA, PTOs, and if parents are unable to pay for their child to participate in participate in partial full scholarship will be sought, and administration will help coordinate the attainment of funds when made aware of the circumstances causing the need. And that's basically, we'll do our best to make it happen, is what it is. Whereas the way it was written before, we had to do it. We're gonna do our best.
Can I ask a quick question on that? Very rarely are our field trips coordinated, regardless of the price, with our PTA. So this saying, moving forward, if it's a costly field trip, we must coordinate with our PTSA for that?
How about or booster club?
Or other volunteer
PTA,
organizations.
PCO, or booster club coordinating the trip.
Yeah, I think what this is saying is, if it's expensive,
But what's expensive? Maybe that's the question.
Field, well, like for instance, our PTA automatically have in their budget, they give us money towards field trips to defray the costs. So
Okay.
that happens every year, so. And then let's say, we were still tight on funds, they would provide us with more funding.
or like
At least on the
high
elementary
school, the
level.
band, and they
Once you
have.
have-
No, like I know, like I get those ones, and those
Yeah.
overnight trips are pretty special, but
I think if you as a principal know that $25 is an expensive trip for a student, then you reach out and you ask
Okay.
for support from those groups.
Fair enough.
It could be any amount of money.
Do you want us to add in and booster clubs?
Yeah.
Or PTA,
Or- or-
PTOs, and booster clubs?
Or would we want to say, or other volunteer organizations?
Yeah.
Okay, just say that, and then you're
That's
covering
nice.
everything.
I would say that.
I like that.
Yeah, or volunteer.
Volunteer support?
Or other-
Other support organizations?
Volunteer support organizations. Just so we don't like pigeonhole the.
Ask anyone,
Yeah.
which you guys do anyway. Principals do that anyway.
The field trip is costly, parents, we already did that one. So we did make another change till down to field trips. This is where the big change comes, I guess, allowing them to go to amusement parks. We limited it to just 8th grade and 12th grade, end of middle school, end of high school. Sixth grade, they're a little young to be running around, mostly on their own. Amusement park. My sixth grader still can't fit on all the rides, and I don't want to.
I like grade 8 and 12. I think that's good. Good call on that.
So going back to the underlined section, it says, any chaperones who are not regular employees of the Board of Ed will be processed by a human resources department. Do we have a policy in place that they would, of how they would be processed?
So the principals, we have a volunteer list, and if you're volunteering to be a chaperone, any principal would just send Courtney the name, and they go through the Raptor system, the background check system to get a thumbs up that they can.
So we do have
We already have it.
administrative
We have
policy.
it.
Yeah, they are.
Thank you.
And I don't remember if the underline here was there before, or if we had it. I don't think so. Field trips to amusement parks are similar in the venues during school instructional time are not usually allowed and will not be approved except on a case-by-case basis by the board. We left that in there. They'll have to come request it just like they did last year, which was well done.
The students need to come and request.
Yeah, we've had a number of,
Yeah.
a number of different, yeah.
So grades 8 and 12, and they have class days at an amusement park with approval. Next change we made was in item 3. For single-day trips, all efforts should be made to obtain approval, and said approval must be obtained in writing from the principal, department coordinator, and assistant superintendent a minimum of 4 weeks in advance of the planned trip. So that was there, but it was, we stuck it in as more of a must, because they, yeah.
I just know, I think I brought it up last meeting, at times, sometimes things happen a little quicker than 4 weeks. So is there a provision that if something opens up and say, hey, we have a spot for your kids at this museum, is there a provision where
Like
with
a
approval from the
special, like
superintendent,
a
we could
special,
waive the 4 week?
You can say,
is there something you would say, like a special?
for special
circumstances.
of the 4-week could be waived.
Because I have definitely
Approval
violated the
window,
4 week
window
before,
can be
not gonna lie.
changed with superintendent approval.
Love that.
Oh, I like
Say it
that.
on TV,
Right.
I can't-
So what was that again?
Approval window
Okay.
can be adjusted with superintendent
I like
approval.
that.
I like that.
But it means they
Thanks,
drag their feet.
In special instances.
Yeah. Yeah, but if they're gonna drag their feet, that means they have to go, it's not.
You
as
gotta
easy
move
as
the top.
to- Yeah, yeah.
In special instances, at least dictates that there has to be, not just like, you don't feel that way to go.
Thank you. But we'll try to make sure it never happens.
So when this is all done, Chris, just you have to make a motion and read the handwritten changes?
Yeah.
And just do a blanket one on his, her, and all that, do they see a his, her?
Is there?
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty good at that, but.
Right in the middle, stars teachers should obtain.
And the rest are just the permission slips, correct?
Yeah.
Wonderful, nice job.
I want to make sure I get this right. So it's approval can be less.
I have a question actually for you. You had redlined out appropriate school attire as outlined in the district dress code. Can I just ask what the reasoning was behind that?
Because we were finishing,
Oh,
we were
okay.
just finishing up the dress
That's
code.
Yeah.
Well, and because it says we encourage a dressing according with the standards set for the trip. So if you go into Holiday Hill, say where there's a pool,
Oh, that's right,
so
we
if you
did
don't have
talk about
bathing suit,
that.
bathing
That's
suit,
right, we
are
did
allowed
talk
to wear to
about
school,
that.
but it'd be
We
okay
did.
for the trip.
Sorry, yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
shouldn't wear it,
sorry.
yeah, shouldn't wear it to play. Too many calls from the marsh every year.
In the field trips, there's reference to natural garden. Do you want to be consistent with legal custodian?
Where did you see that?
Um, Look on the second to the last. It's in red.
That's all.
It says permission slip. I, as a parent or natural garden, give my son, daughter permission to travel in connection with the above function or trip. Maybe it just means that, maybe we just be consistent.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the
Language,
consistency
yeah.
language.
Well, yeah.
Then if we're gonna go that field trip permission form, if returning after 2:30, parents are I think we need to
Legal
rephrase.
guardian.
Yeah, I think we need
Legal
to,
custodian.
yeah,
Okay.
you know, why,
Okay, give me the first one, then I'll refer, I'll say,
Legal custodian, so all parenting guardian, is that the term we're using?
yeah, I think,
We're
Yes,
using the term
legal
legal
custodian.
custodian in place of guardian.
yeah, correct.
And in the new red line, I don't know if that's what you're talking about, it says cause of natural guardian.
Right, yes.
It's at the top of the 6153 piece under
All
the
of
name,
those
address.
to legal custodian.
Also,
And-
under permission slip, I as a parent or natural guardian give my son, daughter permission, again, we're looking to find there, and maybe my student.
My
Child.
My child.
Student,
My
child, my child.
which one is that? Are you?
It's under permission slip, it says field trip permission slip, release and waiver.
Or maybe we want to say my participating child, because my child refers to yours. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Again, just for consistency. And down below, it does say that child's participation in the above field trip. So,
Child is a good way to replace.
okay.
So, ready?
Yeah.
All right, so I make a motion to accept policy 6153 as revised, including revisions from today, handwritten, where we add in to PTO, PTAs, or other volunteer support organizations on page 1. On page 2, section 3, bullet 1, approval can be obtained with shorter notice in exceptional circumstances with superintendent approval. And then all changes that need to be made on the field trips to change legal guardian or natural guardian to legal custodian, and any he, hers to them.
Yep.
Do I have a second?
And son or daughter to
And son or
child.
daughter to child.
Okay.
Does that make that? I'll do it. I'll do it and send it to you. If you okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'll second it.
All right.
Okay, any other?
And that's to go to the, send to the board with favorable recommendation.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah.
I'll get it done. I'll get it done to you for Monday. So we can-
Okay, yeah, if you could get it to me,
I can have to you next
I
day.
need to put it in the agenda.
I can have to you by tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Thanks for doing
Any
that.
further
Thank you.
discussion? All in favor? Say
Aye.
Another one, passed unanimously, thank you.
You guys want to work that.
Wow.
We're gonna have a big board meeting. It's gonna be a long board meeting.
We have admission placement table. Where does that stand? Still table?
Still people.
Yeah. Any open discussion on anything?
We got our work for us for next.
Yeah.
You have anything else to work on today? I'm still in the midst of the homework policy, but I don't think we have anything definitive to present yet, and I don't know if it's worth presenting mid-year. So, I mean, I'll certainly could get it together, but if we can keep that maybe tabled, I'll certainly take on a few other policies if you have them.
Well, I mean, does everybody want to go back through the book now and see what's
Great
left?
idea.
Readjust our
Yeah,
priorities?
be good for
Yeah.
next steps.
Maybe start to think about technology policy, AI.
Oh,
But there's a special action.
There's a task force right
Task
now,
force,
but
right.
it wouldn't be bad for you to start to look at what we currently have.
so we'll review policies and prioritize revisions or reviews.
If we see something that we think needs to be revised, should we email for permission?
I don't think anybody needs, I
don't think so.
I don't think anybody needs permission. It's just, you know, if you want to take the group and start talking about something and bring it to the board, you know.
Let
I
us
mean-
know in case we don't get the same thing, choose the same thing to go over it.
Communicate with your group.
My group was kind of pulled a little bit from me. I feel like they ran away,
Oh.
Uh,
but that's okay.
We want to join you with that.
Uh-oh.
You're going back?
I'm going back.
We could be part of multiple groups, it's
I want to
fine.
be part of
I
this
know.
group. I think you mentioned for us to do the volunteer.
Volunteers, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're up for volunteers.
My first step in that is I want to send all of our current policies to the attorneys and have them review, and it might just be that we take their recommendation and draft it in, but I just want to make sure we're
We're good to go.
identified, whatever. Yeah.
So do you like the idea of us looking at it and then emailing or coming up with ideas now? Because I mean, it's already 5. I'm just asking, where you guys feel like you guys can pick something, or you guys want to take some time?
I'm gonna go back to the list I originally sent.
Yeah.
As far as some of the
That's what I
policies, I
think
thought
we
they
should
revised that
Yeah.
we didn't look at, and some of them were really simple, but
Yeah.
But I would think it would be the goal by the end of this. I mean, this current body has another year, you know, we'll have an election in another year, whether this board stays intact with new board members or whatever it may be, but I would like to see, like by the end of this year, that every policy in this says adopted at 24, 25, you know, so that we've gone through this whole book and, you know, some of it's going to be no changes and we don't have to change it, but some of it, but at least to review the whole policy.
I mean, does it make sense at some point to create almost like a yearly rotation when to look at each policy?
Yeah.
So that, you know, so you should know that every, say, 3 or 4 years, every policy is getting looked at.
Yeah.
So we're not in a case where we have policies from 2002 or 2004 that are still governing what we do.
And it needs to be, I think, it needs to be an active policy that the policy committee takes on.
Okay.
And maybe like the donation policy, there's another one we missed somewhere along the line. If that's the case, we'll find it. Okay, well, next meeting tentatively December 18th. I guess we'll play that by ear based on how busy things are. It's a busy time of the year, so we'll make a decision to reset maybe the week before. And if we have a motion to adjourn,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned at
Okay.
5 PM.
Chris, what's your number? Has anyone